It was working on like a 2G cellular signal, and at some point Verizon's gonna eliminate that, and we're not gonna be able to use it. The data collector, the handheld device that we go out with, there are no parts for it. They're not making parts for it anymore because it's so old, so it won't be supported anymore for updates. So we're gonna continue to use it as long as we can to have a second piece of equipment, but once it's no longer usable, we'll just get rid of it.
And then the other thing was, Traffic Commission has discussed, we've had conversations here on the no turn on red for our downtown Defiance. And why don't you update them where we're at with that?
So we submitted a funding application for the improvements to ODOT. They have an abbreviated safety funding mechanism. We got word that we were funded. We had to make a few modifications. We put in the application for lit signs that would indicate no right on reds at all intersections. So we're looking at the intersections from High Street along Clinton, from High Street to 5th Street. So that would have been 28 locations for lit signs. They said they wouldn't fund that. I went back to them and asked if they would consider funding the lit signs at the 2nd Street intersection, knowing that that was the busiest intersection for traffic and probably pedestrians. They agreed. So we're getting funded at about $210,000, and that's a 90-10 split. So we'll move forward with a consultant contract for that and hopefully get those installed summer, maybe fall of this year.
These are gonna be lights out there out by the mall there, that round.
Yeah. That's just gonna be at the 2nd Street intersection. The other intersections will just have the flat panel signs that say no right on red. And it'll include pedestrian lead phasing for all of the intersections so that the pedestrians can get into the intersection first before cars are allowed to go. Hopefully they'll become more visible so that they see them before they turn. We'll be putting in high visibility crosswalk markings at all 7 of those intersections. What else did I forget?
No, I think it's worth mentioning that in your opinion, and you'll wait for the study, we may want to consider paying extra out of pocket to put the lighted signs at 3rd.
It's something that we should discuss further to consider. That's also another high pedestrian intersection. So
When the study's done, she'll come back and explain to you.
What's the cost? You have an estimate on?
The total project cost, including design, is
Just for the
$210,000.
lighted sign. If we go
Oh,
on
for
3rd
each of the
Street.
lighted signs, the lit signs are about $5,000 a piece for wiring conduits, the cabling that has to go back to the.
Might be a good investment.
Grounded.
Yeah.
And grounded,
Right.
yeah. Well, they be grounded, yeah.
Mr. Engel?
Yes, just a couple of questions.
Sure.
Is there a time frame on this when this is gonna start? And also, is this gonna be 24 hours a day, or is there certain times that mornings, evenings are not gonna be that way? Because I know you get it 8, 9 o'clock in the winter, there's hardly anybody there. If you get really early in the morning, there's not gonna be that much traffic.
I think we decided for consistency, that we're gonna have it be all times, 24 hours a day.
Now, the study, as we've discussed, on those low volume times, the lights will be adjusted to cycle much quicker.
Okay,
So now we tend to sit there longer than we think we should.
they're not gonna wait a minute and a half.
And they do that now.
Yes, they
They do
do.
that starting at about 7 PM.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
To where they call immediately if a car comes up or a pedestrian pushes a button on those side
Okay,
streets.
so in other words, you're not gonna have to wait there for a
2
minute,
minutes.
minute and a half or whatever.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
okay, thank you.
And your other question was, when is it gonna start?
Yes, is there a
I
time
would
frame?
assume that we would be able to start installation late summer, early fall.
Okay.
So this should be in place this year.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Mast?
The equipment is nice, it'll be good to have that in place. What about enforcement?
You mean if somebody turns on red when they shouldn't? Yeah. We will be very diligent to educate the public that there's now a sign up there telling them they can't do that.
This is a ticketable offense.
Probable cause
Oh,
for
yeah.
a stop, we'll take the revenue. And whatever else, whatever other contraband we find in the car.
Always thinking, I'm just saying.
Mrs. Crutch, Mr. Mass.
Mrs. Crutch?
So the no turn on red on East Second Street to turn onto Clinton Street, are they gonna check the timing of the light that's at Wayne? Because I know that's one of the big issues is that it's always backed up over into Wayne, almost,
Yeah, we'll look at that.
you know,
When
to
we
that
do the
light.
signal timing
Yeah.
changes to make the pedestrians go into the intersection, we'll
Okay.
look at that.
I brought that up before because they
Yeah,
get
that's a-
way backed up.
There's times when there's heavy traffic, some of that's gonna be unavoidable.
Yes.
I know.
So I just wanna tell you a little story. Why I like working with Melinda so much. So this was universally approved by planning commission, or traffic commission, council was all on board, the administration was all on board. Frankly, Melinda had carte blanche to just go out and get this done. But what she did, and what she always does, and which is why we all should appreciate her for what she does, she took it upon herself to go out and look for grants. Now, this is a $200,000 expenditure that we were ready to make on our own. She got 90% of that reimbursed through a grant that she didn't have to go after. She didn't have to take her time, she didn't have to do the work, but she did. And there, as I can do the quick math, saved us about $180,000. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If there's no other questions, Mr. Engel,
I don't have a question, motion adjourned.
motion to adjourn for this evening, do we have a second? Second, Mr. Mast. All those in favor of adjourning for this evening and reconvening in 2 weeks